Hey team, welcome to our session here today. I'm really excited to be your host. My name is Salad Khan. I've been with Amazon for about 6.5 years. I'm with a group of esteemed colleagues from some of our select customers. They're going to introduce themselves, and the reason why we have the session is to have our audiences learn from the experiences from our customers and their transformational journey with their SAP workloads on AWS. So as a quick introduction, I'm going to have our esteemed panel introduce themselves. And we'll start with Pete. We'll go to Perna and then Simon. Pete, over to you.
Thanks, Salt. So my name is Pete Rockenstein. I am a cloud engineer / SAP basis platform guy at Mondelez International. If you're not familiar with Mondelez, we are one of the largest consumer products companies making wonderful, delicious treats like Oreos, Cadbury, and many other fun goodies. I'm really excited to be here.
Thanks, Pete. I love all those goodies too, by the way.
Hi, I'm Purnachan Daravapalli. I work with Colgate Palmolive as a director for infrastructure and database architecture. And the Colgate Palmolive is the one of the global consumer company with a $20 billion turnover. Yeah.
Thanks, Perna. Simon, over to you.
And my name is Simon Davies. I am the general manager for what's known as core banking at the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. For those of you who aren't familiar, Commonwealth Bank, or CBA, is the largest bank in Australia. We bank about 1 in 3 people in Australia. So just to give you an indication.
That's amazing. So for the first part of the section, I'm going to ask our colleagues here what caused them to choose AWS for their SAP transformational journey. A couple of questions and just a couple of housekeeping items. We're not going to have any Q&A at the end of the session, but if you have any questions, we invite you to please join us at Smith & Walensky tomorrow. And if you have any questions on where to go and where to sign up, I've got 2 of our marketing gentlemen right in the front. You can come ask them to make sure you register and you can access both our customers and folks that are from SAP and AWS. All right, so for our first question, Simon, you just introduced yourself from the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. This is a company that processes 40% of Australia's transactions. This is a transaction workload that is really risk averse. Can you talk to us about what made you select AWS in your transformational journey, please?
Yeah. So as you said, 40% of transactions in the economy. So it's CBA is Australia's biggest bank. Almost 1 in 2 times money changes hands in the economy. It goes through our SAP system. So you buy lunch, buying your groceries, sending money to people. Good chance it goes through this system. So not only is this CBA's most critical system, but in a real sense, this underpins the entire economy. So it was a big decision for us to make. Just by way of a frame of reference. Core banking transformations in general, SAP or no, about 70% of them fail, and you often end up seeing CIOs or CEOs move on as a result. So quite a big obligation. We chose AWS, I think, for probably 3 reasons, and the first is really about scale and resilience. I think AWS were a good cultural fit for us. They shared our value of customer obsession, and they deeply understood the level of obligation that a workload of this magnitude had. And they had, the experience in running other very, very large SAP workloads to give us that trust that this would be a safe place for us to run. I think the second reason is really in the engineering partnership. Running a workload of this scale, and it's a little bit different to your traditional ERP in that this is very high throughput online transaction processing, really tight NFRs, low latency online workload. We knew that we would need to engineer our way out of a lot of problems, and certainly we discovered quite a few things that aren't in the standard SAP architectures that we needed to work through, and we did things with AWS to solve some of those problems. And there was a new feature introduced into EC2 as a result, which I'm really proud of, that all SAP customers can leverage from here. And that partnership, having AWS with us every step of the way to tackle those really hard problems was really, really important. And then I think the last one is, when we thought about this migration, it wasn't really just a case of lift and shifting the technology. Certainly, we had the same 2027 end of service that I think, a lot of us were staring down the barrel of. That was the original impetus. But it was also like an opportunity for us to be really honest about ourselves, about the state of our technology stack, which had, we'd lived with for about decade and a half, and we came from sort of mainframe and mid-range, rock solid, but characteristically rocks are not known for their flexibility or agility. And that was certainly true of our operations, quite siloed. We had 8 different teams that ran the stack top to bottom. They all spoke different and obscure languages. It was really difficult to coordinate between them or get anything done. Moving to S4 on AWS gave us the opportunity to look at this from a full stack perspective, but not just with that workload in isolation either, but we could land it in an ecosystem that was constantly evolving and innovating itself, and allow us to take advantage of the best that AWS have to offer and more seamlessly integrate with the rest of our workloads, be it our digital channels or some of the work that we're doing in the agentic and AI space. So yeah, definitely AWS we thought was a good partner, not just to run this safely, but to run it in bold new ways.
That's excellent, Simon. Those are some really nice gems. Thank you for selecting AWS. So the audience, just summarize, if you are going through your selection process, looking for a partner, it's a cultural fit is really important. I heard Simon say that, it's really good. Not only is it leadership principles, but having an innovation partner where you can work backwards from your customer needs, like co-development of EC2 health monitor, health checks, which is really important as well. And then for scale. So experience and scale is really important. I would tell you, if the audience here in the room is thinking about going to move their SAP workloads or move into S4HANA or even consider RISE, that's a workload that you really want to be active and functioning at all times. And you heard from Simon on the choice that CBA made for selecting to run their SAP workloads on AWS. That's great, Simon. Pete, over to you. You've got some experience running SAP in the cloud already. Can you talk a little bit about your journey and what came to selecting AWS?
I think it's really important to understand that everyone's got a little bit of a different starting point to their journey. Mondelez is, if people haven't heard of that name, it's because it's only been around about 16 years. It's really a combination of the Kraft North America business and the Cadbury business in Europe and other parts of the world. And as a result, a lot of our core systems they have different approaches that have grown over time. And part of our journey, and I think the challenge is, how do you go from, I have some systems that are on a legacy on-prem data center, and then I have other systems where we did a number of migrations to the cloud earlier on a different hyperscaler. I started that journey, I think, in 2017, a little bit before my time. But I think it was clear that running things differently wasn't really going to scale as we wanted to continue our journey. Now that, I kind of pause and let's talk about just why AWS
Love
first,
to hear that.
because I think there's kind of two different conversations. Yep. About 4 years ago, some of my colleagues and I, who are all here in the audience, joined Mondelez to really stand up an internal cloud engineering organization. And a lot of what Simon was just talking about really resonates about having, a consistent operating model. One of the things that we're really proud of is that everything that we have done in AWS, with the exception of the vending of the very first root account, has all been done using infrastructure as code and the account factory for Terraform. We've had a wonderful partnership from day one with AWS Pro Service. We've set up kind of this really awesome plumbing where we can go from requirement to realization, in many cases, in less than a few hours. It's a really funny story. My boss actually deployed some servers from his son's soccer game from his phone with some of the tooling that we've built. So that's really interesting. But a lot of that focus was on the non-SAP stacks. We have started recently our journey to S4HANA. Again, if this were just a straight upgrade process, it would probably be a much less difficult journey, but because we're sort of addressing some of the, what I'll call foundational issues of the past, of having different systems that were built by different teams over different times, in different hyperscalers, with different OSs and different versions, there's a lot of just foundational harmonization work that is happening at the same time that we are also going to S4 on RISE. So new ways of working for the entire organization. You've got a very experienced basis and platform team that works with us. And I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 425 years of combined experience. So we're very,
Awesome.
very particular about how things are done. And so shifting to Rise, running those workloads in a new hyperscaler with a new way of working, that added a little bit of risk. So for us, it was really important to build on the wonderful relationship that we started developing with AWS in 2021 to be able to say, well, how can we de-risk this? How can we make this easier for the organization? Having a trusted partner like AWS to help us navigate, hey, have we set everything up correctly from an infrastructure perspective? Does our landing zone look correct? Hey, we have to have capacity reservation conversations. Some of our colleagues here have helped us in many, many ways, helping SAP even beat their own SLAs for delivering some of that infrastructure.
Awesome. Excellent.
So building on that trusted partnership and having people that know us has been really awesome.
That's great, Pete. Thank you so much. That's really awesome. I mean, I love the comment you made earlier, and resonates with me, is that everyone has a different starting line, but it's the journey that really matters. And speaking of the journey, I'd love to have Purna share your journey. I think I caught up with you a little bit earlier, and I learned that you kind of made the decision of AWS coming to reInvent just last year. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about that, Purna.
Yeah, so again, the good point mentioned by Simon and Pete, right? We have different perspectives at different journeys started. So from the Colgate, it's a 250-year-old company serving across about 200 countries and territories. So our mission is like reimagining the healthier future for all the people, their pets and planet. It's a strong statement from Colgate. So it's always been in the transformation. You can imagine companies surviving for 250 years has been going through the great transformation, right? So we started Rise journey. So currently we have 6 production landscapes running on Rise, on the AWS platform. We are going to migrate another 8 systems by mid 2027, including our most critical transactional systems. So we are going good. So we're on the plans, everything going good. So then your points, how did we start that, right? So we have been there, we have been in the cloud. So the first thing, so we went with, when we started the things, we were brainstorming internally and we decided, so okay, these are the things we want to go with. So the first thing is that the performance, right? Where do we get the performance? Always what we say is that same or better. So we have, again, like Simon mentioned, that we are rock solid on-prem. So we are with the systems like IBM. But transformation is important. So then we decided, okay, let's go with the performance. And the second one is with the roadmap aligned with SAP. So, right? And the performance, when we were looking at, so what we have done the benchmarking across the comparable workloads. So we have seen AWS has met that expectations. So we have seen the desirable performance, right? So that gave us confidence to go in the scale. So when we wanted to run large systems, so that gave us confidence. And also the roadmap that SAP has aligned with AWS is also gave us confidence. And the other thing is that we want to diversify. The cloud diversification is important. That is our company's strategy. So that is one of the things. So all together came up, really gave us the path to do this. And again, just to add that we migrated our systems to S4 in 2019. So we always work very closely with our partners. What we don't call as vendors, we call it as partners. So when we started SAP, so we did in 2019. So for our business case was only to go to cloud. So we had our business case covered in the transformation.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So it was not easy because you can show the benefits with S4 transformation and cloud together, right? For us, the challenge is that, you have transformation already for 5 years. How do you do that? So that's where those 3 principles and also with the same or better clearly helped us. And we are running 6 systems so far. Yeah, we are doing that.
That's awesome, Purna. Thanks for sharing that. I'm jealous too. That's pretty amazing that you guys started in the cloud and moving into transformation. That was really good. So Amazon has a lot of programs to offer to SAP customers and really to all enterprise customers, whether it's in the areas of assessments or building business cases or helping you accelerate your migration journey with our partners or directly with our services teams. Next couple of set of questions are really to kind of get a lessons learned. Did you use some of the programs? Did you get some good experiences? What could you share with our audience from your transformation journey. I'll start off with Pete. Pete, love to learn about what kind of programs worked for you and any lessons learned you'd like to share with the crowd.
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest one that has been very successful for us has been our relationship with AWS Professional Services. They have been with us from day one, and really working with our core engineering team, pushing the boundaries of what's possible and how do I do this. I think we even have weekly office hours still to this day, 4 years in, where we're learning about the latest techniques. We have a chance to ask questions, to work on things together, and one of our colleagues who has been with us pretty much from day one is still here with us today, here at AWS reInvent. So having that kind of deep personal relationship has been really, really wonderful. I would also say, like, for us, maybe not an AWS specific program, but using forums like this to meet other leaders in the space. We have a relationship with an SI partner. Am I allowed to say names? Lemongrass, who we met here at reInvent 4 years ago, I believe. And again, the question was, who's the best at taking SAP to the cloud? We know that's going to be a thing for us soon. So building that relationship and finding people that think about systems engineering and automation the same way that we do. Everything that we want to be able to do is about scale, doing things in a repeatable way, leveraging IAC principles where we can, automating the mundane so that we can focus on those really truly transformational, value-added activities. Getting a chance to meet partners like that here at reInvent has been wonderful, and of course, having access to a broad array of subject matter experts, people who can maybe take a look under the hood at some of the things that we've done in RISE, offer suggestions, find things that may or may not be issues later, but it's always good to walk into things eyes wide open.
That's excellent. Thanks for sharing that, Pete. Simon, I'll ask you a question. Can you touch on some of the quantitative improvements and organizational change you've seen by moving your transformation journey forward? Love to learn from you and your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd probably look at this through three lenses, right? So the first one I think is performance improvements. This was certainly a system of record for us, our most critical system of record, but increasingly we wanted to turn it into like a system of intelligence. We wanted to do more things with deep personalization, behavioral banking, and that requires grunt, right? So what we actually saw moving away from our legacy like DB2 on mainframe R3 stack to S4 on AWS, we got about a 30% improvement, and that was for both online like web service traffic, but also web services would obviously improve their response time, and it kind of manifests like most readily in things like balance updates happen a lot faster than they used to. Previously, someone would make a payment and then they'd have to kind of refresh the screen to see their balance update. Now that happens straight away. It also enables sort of more inline processing, things like fraud checks, etc., that can happen in real time. But also, like for the batch workload, that also happens much more quickly, and it allows us to do things like increasingly do like customer-based pricing, which requires like millions and millions of recalculations every day to determine like what is the best price for a given customer segment, and we got quite a bit more headroom with this move that allows us to do more in those batch windows, which is great. Resilience, I think, is the second lens, and we sort of touched on that a little bit in terms of the operating model. But I think one of the other things that I'm really proud of with this move was, our recovery time objective previously, if we were to do a site swap, RTO was about an hour and a half. We used to like rehearse this every year, and it'd be a bit of a like manufactured exercise. Everyone would get at their keyboards, get warmed up. They got their coffee, they've got their run sheet. Start your engines, and in that manner, we could kind of like choreograph the entire thing and execute it in about 30 minutes. It's pretty good, but it's a bit artificial. When we moved to S4, like out of the box, we were seeing about a 16-minute failover when we did HANA. 15, 16 minutes. Still pretty good, but like I said, very, very downtime sensitive environment. In banking, we wanted to optimize that a little bit more. So we did some deep engineering with with SAP, with Red Hat, and with AWS. And we actually pushed in a whole bunch of improvements at the Red Hat kernel level to pacemaker to that config, and as I said, an enhancement to EC2 with the skip shutdown feature that was released. So it's awesome to see some of the work that we've done to try to push the boundaries, make its way back into the main code line for these software vendors and for AWS, and we can see that all customers in future will be able to benefit from some of this innovation, which is awesome. I think the last thing I'd probably call out here is efficiency. Firstly, like infrastructure efficiency, we came from very, very expensive specialized compute. That's not going to be true for everyone, but the move to like commodity x86 saw a 30% reduction in just infrastructure costs, which is wild. But more than that, like I like Pete's journey, because we had a very similar approach. It was automate everything top to bottom, and that's not just provisioning, but our operations as well. So it's things like scale out, restart, failover, start, stop, cluster moves, all of this kind of stuff. And what that did was it took out hundreds of manual touch points per month. And it moved us to just executing these automated pipelines. So it's our focus is now less about keeping the lights on, and we get to focus more now on building what's next. And one of the things we talked about this morning was got a real focus now on AI ops. How do we build a system that detects anomalies and learns and takes action? So that's what I'm really excited about.
That's really excellent. Yeah, I've heard you mention resiliency a couple of times, and I love the perspective that it's not only being resilient within your environment, but also in your operations and your daily activities that can be automated as well. I love hearing that. And Purna, you mentioned you've got a number of environments running in the cloud. Can you kind of touch on which programs worked well for you and kind of lessons learned in moving that journey into AWS as well?
Yeah, sure. So we started this AWS journey, mainly specific to SAP RISE, early first quarter of this year. So you can imagine it is 6 months. Within almost 8 months, we migrated 6 production landscapes.
That's pretty big.
So, and again, we have a strong cloud team. So they understand the cloud very well, the cloud technologies, but we are kind of something new to AWS. So for us, the enablement was key because, and we had very limited time to get into that, right? So considering that criticality of SAP applications, so the focus was to get that support, ensure that we have everything needed for the RISE migrations, right? So it's like crawl, walk, and run. So we started on those things. So we used the immersion days and AWS well architecture framework and our help from account team. So initially, the main key was with the connectivity, right? So for the users to connect with our existing infrastructure to AWS, it was key for the performance and everything. So we worked closely with AWS. We had a workshop very quickly, on-prem workshop. They flew. They had multiple discussions, and we were discussing about the connectivity patterns. So they suggested different options. So finally, we could deploy the interconnect very fast, and we could run it very well. So it helped us in the performance area as well, right? So and in addition to that, the support from the AWS account team was very good. So they have been helping us throughout. So we have even we go through SAP RISE, we do have regular calls with the AWS team, and they do discuss the requirements. They understand what is coming new with us. And they had a couple of sessions mainly on the security side. So we are trying to build our AWS security posture. We are going to, that is something really helped us.
That's really good. So immersion days, well-architected reviews are all service offerings that anybody in our audience can choose to leverage. These are offered at no cost, and they're complimentary. My team leads them, your account teams can lead them, and we can bring in our innovation roadmap to go through where it makes sense to deliver your business outcomes.
Yeah, and just to add one more point, we were doing the proof of concept before deciding RISE. So the team was, when we were working, was so much comfortable. They could talk in the customer language. So right, so sometimes it's hard to get because every enterprise has their own requirements. So we see that the AWS team could understand the requirements and help us what is needed and ensure that even the testing was successful.
That's excellent. Yeah, working backwards from customer requirements is key. In fact, one of the biggest announcements we made this year was our AI co-innovation program with SAP, where we work with our customers and partners to build out their agentic capability, leveraging SAP's full stack and AWS full stack. And on the topic of modernization and innovation, I'd love to hear from our panel your perspective of what it means to modernize. Simon, if I don't mind starting off with you, core banking innovation is pretty big and pretty huge and close to your heart. Would love to learn about what's happening next in the modernization journey for core banking with respect to CBA and really the economy in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, it's a journey, and even getting here, we definitely learned a lot. Um, AI certainly being a thing. We experimented deeply with how we use this for building like more robust automated test cases, as well as increasing engineering productivity for a lot of the code remediation that we needed to do with the move. And I think the state of the art for the tools changes so rapidly. We started off with Amazon Q, and we had kind of mixed success. We also experimented a little bit with tools like Rue and Klein or GitHub Copilot. We've got some sort of clunky workflows at the moment. A lot of these plugins don't exist for Eclipse, so we end up with this situation where developers are like using VS Code and then copying and pasting from VS Code into Eclipse to push changes. So you can imagine from a developer experience perspective, you get a little bit of pushback, but the people who are really, really keen, they get really excited, and they can live with that. But like that can only get better. But then you think about beyond the actual implementation and change on the system itself. What this system is not just like our biggest system of record. It's about 90% of all of our customer and like account and transactional data in CBA. You really need to think about it as the richest source of customer behavioral insights that we have in the bank. And we often hear it said that data is the fuel for AI. There is no higher octane fuel than what we have here. So really being able to exploit that is important. And historically there was sort of high friction with getting access to that data, and that was a combination of kind of a lockdown ecosystem, but also some like performance constraints on being able to push data out en masse. With the move that we've made here, we can actually event everything that comes out of this system in real time. Like so real live signals coming out of this system tested up to about 5,000 transactions per second.
That's amazing.
So it means that we can get that customer data to our data scientists, to other engineering teams who are building new agentic solutions a lot faster than we were ever able to before. So straight out of HANA to Amazon MSK, we can push it through like Kinesis to SageMaker, and increasingly we're doing things with Bedrock and Agent Core. As we sort of imagine what the next decade of agentic banking might mean, and experimenting with Bedrock and Agent Core and what capabilities that will give us to deliver more hyper-personalized behavioral banking experiences, like intelligent experiences to our customers. So we think the potential is huge, and this one move that we've made to something so critical, certainly to CBA, has just been foundational. I think it's going to unlock, like I said, the next decade for us.
That's excellent. I can feel the passion, and it's a really exciting space. I would say to the audience, and Simon, I'm going to follow up with you as well. We recently announced full support for ABAP and Amazon QDev, including the Eclipse plugin. And we have a lot more planned. So if anyone's interested, we actually have a developer workshop. I think it's called a developer workshop, not a chalk talk, where you can actually go hands-on keys with Amazon QDev and start building out some of those workflows yourself. So I highly encourage our audience to try that out. And I love hearing the modernization capability that you have available. We also have a lot planned around strands and agent core within Bedrock to help you manage those agents as well. So everybody who's listening in, please keep a close eye on that space. We'll have a few announcements coming out soon. Purna, I'd love to hear your perspective on modernization. What services you're leveraging at Colgate Palmolive too?
Yeah, so for us, SAP AWS is like for SAP Rise core platform because SAP systems are generally the key, the central thing where you get
Yep.
the data and the data goes into the systems, right? So what we are doing currently is that again our journey is just started. So currently we are using like a complement services, AWS services, a complementary for Rise platform. So one of the example, the thing we started is like for SAP systems to run, we need like storage or compute for the systems
Yep.
to connect like NetApps or printing all of the services. So we are trying to use those services. We are using actually. So we are using those services, and they are helping us to. It's a kind of a transformation, slowly getting into the cloud. The other components running on the on-prem, right? And in parallel, we are also doing the data collection, what do you call that? So we have systems running in different locations, what do you call like on-prem or different places. We are collecting the data related to network, storage, or how much data is getting transferred, egress or ingress, the latency. So we have applications. So we are evaluating those things like what component should be very closer, what
Okay.
can be things. So I think that will is going to give us the clarity like to move the systems, some of the systems into AWS proper, what
Okay.
you call our own accounts.
Okay.
So then run it, right? So I think including AI as well. So it would give us to leverage AWS AI capabilities also. And one more thing to tell like we have our branding websites for multiple brands. They already run on AWS. So they are helping us with the global reach, in the strong performance, and even for the brand advocacy. So
Gotcha.
even
So
that is one
performance.
thing. Yeah. We started with Rise, but we do know like we have AWS. It's not easy to avoid AWS, right?
I like that. Okay.
So AWS touches everything.
Gotcha.
So that's where we can say that it's our business is happy with those things.
Excellent. I love hearing
That's
that.
what we could share.
So not only do you run your enterprise workloads, but your company's website, your marketing platforms all consume AWS services. Okay, excellent. Pete, can you talk to us about your tooling, your automation? Talk about other services that help you complement your SAP and non-SAP workloads too. Would love to hear your perspective.
Sure. I mean, I think a lot of what Simon was talking about resonates pretty well. Maybe less on the SAP development side and more on just how we do core cloud infrastructure management. Again, everything infrastructure is code, a nice machine from GitHub. We use a tool called Spacelift for all of our Terraform automation and software deployment, and then creating those different accounts in AWS. A lot of what we've dipped our toe into recently has been with Amazon Q. Maybe because we're not writing ABAP in that yet, we haven't had some of the fun things that Simon's found. But I'm very interested in the plug that you gave about the workshop. I kind of want to learn more about that. But yeah, a lot of developer efficiencies coming from that. As someone who is I don't get to write a lot of Terraform these days, a little less than I used to, but when I'm struggling with some sort of a complex map object, what's the most efficient way to build this? Something that I think I spent literally 8 hours at reInvent a couple years ago working on, I did a similar thing in about 10 minutes with Amazon Q. So that was kind of fun. A nice little plug of finding the right prompt to ask the question instead of having to ask my colleague Zach, who's in the audience, of, hey, Zach, how do you do this? So I think that's one thing that's really important. But other things that we're doing with our journey to Rise, not every one of our SAP workloads is going to land in Rise. We have some specific workloads that SAP has said, you know what, that probably makes sense for you to host it yourself. So it has been a lot of fun, again, shameless plug for our partner Lemongrass, working with them on really revamping the way that we are delivering workloads in the cloud. They have their own, I'll call it, infrastructure and SAP initial deployment automated solution that you can go from basically a well-defined JSON document to a working, installed, vanilla SAP system in a couple of hours. From infrastructure provisioning, all of your user account set up at the OS level, all of your DB users. Very, very repeatable, highly scalable. And again, it allows our teams on the functional side to start working sooner. So it's about accelerating time to value in a way that's consistent, repeatable, and easy to execute. And I think we find a lot of value in that because we're able to take a lot of the tooling that we've already built out for some of our non-SAP applications and apply those same techniques and principles. It's a little different, but it's more same than it is not. So I think that's kind of cool. And then I think last one, it's been really fun to watch SAP's journey as they talk about Clean Core, all of the work on the business technology platform. I know they do all of their initial development in AWS. I don't know why. I think we all know why. So it's been fun to see not only the new capabilities that they are delivering, but then also to see that, oh, they have a Terraform provider. We can find new ways to do the same things and take those same infrastructure as code principles, and instead of, oh, I need a new BTP sub-account, will you do this for me manually from a ClickOps perspective, we take those existing pipelines that we've written.
That's great.
Quick pull request.
Yep.
A great example for some of you who've been, if anyone's familiar with the new Business Data Cloud product, BDC, one of the tools in there is DataSphere. We did a POC earlier this year on DataSphere, and we were on a call with the SAP team, and they're like, well, we need a new sub-account. Can you vend this for us? It'll probably take you about a week. And I asked a few questions, and then by the end of the meeting, well, I've already vended your account. Here it is.
I love that.
It's ready to
That's
go.
fantastic.
So finding ways to accelerate the easy stuff. I mean, it's a lot. You have to go slow at the beginning to go fast later, but we're having a lot of fun moving fast now.
That's excellent. I love hearing that journey. Thank you so much, Pete. SAP does build first on AWS for a lot of reasons. We're a first-class SAP is a first-class citizen for AWS workloads as well. We've got a robust roadmap of innovation, joint innovation. For those in the audience, anytime we launch a region, we ensure that those systems that support SAP workloads, RISE and native, are accessible and available at launch date. So love hearing that conversation as well. All right, we're going to move on to wrapping up this customer panel. I'd like to ask each of our guests on stage sort of a personal lesson in the journey for both transforming your business to consume and work with SAP and AWS, but also in the organization. Like, from all that you've learned and experienced, what would you advise our audience to take home with them? I'll start with you, Steve.
I mean, I guess I would say the biggest thing for me, I've always been in roles where I've had to be sort of the subject matter expert.
Sure.
And
Yep.
I think learning that, all of us, it's a team sport. It's an open book test. You have help with everybody, and it's pass-fail. So whether you're the one that answers the question or whether you are bringing as many of your friends and colleagues and partners to the game as possible, like, that's okay. And kind of being able to, again, maybe be a little bit more humble in terms of, I don't have to be the one that knows everything. Not everyone knows everything, but there are lots of people out there who are willing, able, incentivized to help you on your journey. Like, they want to see you be successful. So I've heard the word partnership about 18 times up here. Finding the right partners, whether it's with AWS or your different SIs who can help you on that journey, that's probably the most important thing. And then I think maybe the other thing is just don't be afraid. We're doing a lot of things that people have told us, oh, you can't do that. You can't make that work. And, I guess maybe the more crass way to say that would be, okay, here, hold my beer. But
I love
having
that.
fun challenging the status quo of, just
Yeah.
because we've always done it that way
Yes.
doesn't mean we can't find better ways to do things. So
Yes.
I think having a little bit of courage and trusting that, if you build a good team with the right partners and the right technical expertise, you can do a lot of really cool things.
I love that. So I'll just iterate what Pete mentioned in the beginning. It's an open book test team. Like, there's a pass-fail, but fail fast. There are plenty of opportunities and safe spaces that we offer for you to explore, for you to invent, for you to simplify and learn from that development journey. And what did you say about failure? Failure's not an option? Or don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Definitely take that first step. There's a lot of options for you to co-develop with AWS and co-develop with your partners to find a better path. And I love the comment. Someone will come to you on this one. That, oh no, you can't do that. We hear that a lot from customers that are exploring SAP workloads, and I would tell you there's a lot of opportunity to break glass, co-innovate with both SAP and AWS in your journey for your transformation. Perna, a lesson learned for the team?
Yeah. Specifically, I would like to highlight a few points on the RISE journey, right? So as we have been discussing, our systems are running fine. We want
Yes.
to transform. how do we prove it? So the first thing, I learned is that let the evidence lead, right? So because there are different opinions, like, oh, this system performed better, that one performed better, like so that benchmarking or PO testing the things, so that cut through the opinions, like whatever we have it, right? So it helped us to make the decision. So initially, when we started, it was difficult. That it made it easy because we have the numbers, right? The data is key. I think that is one of the learning. The other thing I would say is that always work with your partners or vendors, right? It's very critical because they are your transformation enablers, right? We have been working with SAP was one of our key partners, so we follow them. That is where like we started S4 journey at the beginning. We are doing Rise. We want to align with their roadmap because they are also one of the key enabler because the technology is key for the success. So that is always ensure that you are aligned in different areas. And work with them closely, have that trust. Giving feedback is important, right? While you're appreciating feedback is important, that is what we do always. So we work with them closely. This is what, and always is what's in it for me, right? So tell it like what do you. We also tell what customer needs, and also we can tell the others saying that, oh, this is what you will gain with this one, right? So they can also take the learnings. That is one thing. The other one is a take that SAP this is a platform. So use that additional transformation things to make it as enablers for the business growth. That is one thing. Like you can use like AI capabilities or anything that you have it, but you can start with certain point and start enabling with the other components, right? So because I know we both were saying many of the components in AWS, so we are still trying to get into it. So that's why I couldn't talk much about it. There are some interesting technologies, right? So the other thing is, personally, I wanted to say the couple of things is always like change management is key.
Yep.
Yeah, so when you are doing transformation, it touches everyone from business within IT, right?
Yep.
So we are putting a huge focus on change management, communicating to the teams, because sometimes they say, "Oh, this Rise is going to cloud. What is it? What should I test it? What do I need to do?" So we are using that change management. And also whenever something new comes up, because it's a long journey, so be ready to adopt those changes, be ready, be open for it, and capture the learnings from every migration. So and apply to the next. That is very important. So we have seen issues, some strange issues. I mean, new issues, right? And capture it and apply. So because every migration is you'll have some new learnings as well. And the other thing is that so link every decision with the business case, because you start these large projects, these things with the business case, right? So always you don't want to derail the project. So be clear on like what you are doing with the specific scope. Anything changes, ensure that, oh, okay, I'm doing this one. Is it within the business case?
Yep.
Is outside of the business case?
Makes sense.
That is something. And over prepare for cutover and day two operations, right? There's nothing wrong in that. I've seen that in my experience, like done S4 migrations, anything. So if you over prepare it is good, because if nothing happens, it's fine. But if you over prepare, if something happens, you are prepared for it. So even our CIO, some of the people, when we go for meetings, they ask is that, are we prepared for everything? It means everything. If it goes well, if not, it doesn't go well, right?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
you don't want, they don't want business to be impacted.
Of course.
From IT, that is our job. So those are the things.
Gotcha. So have evidence lead the way, partner with everyone to help you find the right journey, and prepare for go live, cutover, and day two operations. Yeah, I love that feedback. Simon, I'd love for you to close, share with us some perspectives and lessons learned.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all those lessons that all of those just completely resonated with our experience. I definitely like the hold my beer, because you hear so much about like this is standard architecture, this is reference architecture, this is certified, blah blah blah. But I think the reality is that like simplicity is earned. You have to find the solution that fits for you. And Perna was talking about change management being really important. I think when you're doing something like this, it's as much equal. It's equal parts about transforming the culture as it's doing, as it is
Definitely.
like transformation for mission critical systems. But I guess my personal lesson, just laying some context. CBA is quite a big place. I think a lot of us work at like very large organizations. Ours is about 50,000 people. Huge distributed organization, different priorities, different silos that people work in. It's kind of a tough thing to navigate at times, and you sort of fall into the trap of being in what I call, or what Dr. Seuss called actually, the waiting place, which is you're waiting for someone to respond, or you're waiting for somebody to do the work that they promised to do, or you're waiting for the right conditions. And at CBA, we've got like 3 core values: care, commitment, and courage. And if you look at like our recognition portal, I'm sure a lot of companies have these sorts of things. You see loads and loads of recognitions around care and commitment. Those are the easy things to identify, but it's sort of more difficult to identify what courage means. And for me, I think like courage is taking action, just moving forward. And we did this. We did an offsite at the AWS office pretty early on, like 120 people in the room. And I think this is sort of pivotal to the transformation of our culture, because we sort of sat everyone there and talked about what this means, like laid out the vision and not just what it means to the organization, but what it means to all of the people involved for their careers. A lot of them have worked in this space for quite a long time. But we did this exercise where we picked some of the Amazon leadership principles that I thought were particularly relevant for this, and the one that I really liked was bias for action. And everyone sort of said what they think a bias for action looks like, and to me that's courage. And it sort of reminds me of we talked about Kevin Smith. So there's this quote from Kevin Smith that I really like. Do you know Kevin Smith? Who's 40 in this audience? He's the director of like Clerks, Chasing Amy, Mallrats, etc. And he was talking about how he succeeded in Hollywood, sort of against the odds, because the really low budget productions initially. And he said the secret was to have a reasonable amount of unreasonableness. And I really like that, because I think that's true of any hard thing, and certainly it's true of it like transformations at this kind of scale. And if I reflect on our journey, we basically ran amber the entire time. Like everyone said, there's no way you're going to hit the date, you're going to run behind, there's so much schedule compression, there's a lot of external dependencies, etc. So we ran amber, and it kind of led to like a bit of a mantra of mine. Amber is a racing color. I was watching a lot of Formula One during this program, and for those of you who are familiar with Formula One, McLaren won the Constructors' Championships. They're orange or papaya or amber, really, but it became sort of a bit of a signal or a shorthand. Amber is like focused and determined and consistent under pressure, and that's how we behaved as a team. If this had gone, if we'd gone red, then I'd be telling a story about Ferrari. But I think amber is probably the best place to be. So I think that's it for me. I think culture. Culture is like pivotal to this. It's about being a little bit unreasonable. It's about having courage and always moving forward.
That's excellent. It's not just about technology. I mean, this really is a people business. Keep me honest, I heard you say care, commitment, and courage.
That's it.
Principles that the company has founded, that you guys live by and work with, and the fact that the project was amber with urgency has helped you reach that finish line and really create a transformational experience for all banking customers in Australia.
It's also like it lifted the standard of our whole bank, right? Because it redefined what's possible and that bar for how you deliver and what excellence looks like.
Yeah, so I would say for the audience members, this is not a short journey. It's a transformational journey that you're going to partner with both your cloud provider, SAP, and your systems integrators to get you to your final state. And that final state is also evolving, with each of the panelists discussing how they're modernizing, how they're automating, and leveraging AWS services to help innovate and create a new experience for their customers too. I'm honored to be here to hear everyone's journey. Thank you to each of you to share your perspectives, and to our audience for listening in. Thank you to all of you. We'll wrap it up. And if you have any questions, come on by tomorrow to Smith & Walensky, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.